Hi all, it's Kylie from Kylie's Cardcraft. Thanks for joining me again today. Cabinet cards. These little guys can be quite expensive if we're out there looking for them, but it's so easy to create your own. So that's what we're going to do today. Now, here I've got a mixture of purchased, ready done cabinet cards and ones that I've just made. So this is one of mine. This is one of mine. So these are ones that I've purchased. That's just a nice square one, another square one, a couple of oval ones with bits on the back. Mine, an oval one with bits on the back. A larger oval one with bits on the back. So easy. What you're going to need is some cardstock, and I would stick with cardstock, not paper. So the black on my backing is cardstock. Some paper, copy paper, coloured card, coffee dyed card, paper, for around your oval. Some old photos, or in my case, these ones are actually out of a book. The images have been taken out of a book. And either some stamps for your backings and words and all the rest. I've got some stamps. You will need either stamps, or if you're very clever, not me, but very clever, because I certainly can't do this, freehand, do some frames, do some names, things like that. If you like your handwriting and you can doodle and do all that, you'll need yourself a fine silver or gold pen. If you're stamping, we're going to use either a silver, metallic-y silver ink pad. That's an old one of mine from donkey's yonks ago. And I can't find my gold one, so we're using silver. Or if you want, you can use silver or gold embossing powder. They will work beautifully as well. I'm not doing embossing powder with this because I don't want to muck around with the time to hate it and everything else. The other thing you will need is something to be able to cut an oval out of. Now, whether that is dies for a big shot, Cuttlebug, any of your die cutting machines, any dies, oval shaped, a cutting machine like a Cricut or a Silhouette, something like that, or freehand them if you want to. There's lots of things you can trace around to get ovals. If you don't want to worry about the ovals, do squares. We've all seen cabinet cards in squares, in rectangles, things like that. So we're going to do a couple of oval ones, and these are, as I said before, so easy to do. All right, sit you guys over there. Now, I have pre-cut out some shapes. These are just oval shapes on coffee-dyed presentation paper. The reason it's on presentation paper is because it's avalanche, is because it's a little bit thicker than normal coffee-dyed copy paper, and it comes out a slightly different colour. Now, these were all done in the same batch, but they come out a slightly different colour. They're slightly more yellowed, and I like those for in my or on my cabinet cards more than just in my signatures, and they're a little bit thicker. So that's what I'm using for those. My large one is just cut out of actually what it was cut out of, same book that I'm using, the front sheets of that where I've pulled them out, and I thought that's a really nice natural colour. And that's what I've done the large ones with. So they're just bits that I've got sitting around. You'll need some scraps of black cardstock. And this is card, so it's probably about a 250 GSM. And I've also got, I found I had some slightly metallic black card as well. And I've used that for the back. You don't have to. You can just use normal plain black cardstock, but use cardstock again and not paper. Right, first things first. So let's say we're going to do one of these little ones. we want some plain black card. So I thought I had a tear in it. We're going to work out vaguely our size. Now, the size of these ones, by the way, is about 9.25 centimetres, or 3 1/2 3 4 5/8 by just over 6 centimetres and 2 1/2 3/8, round about that. All I've done really is I've just cut out a rectangle, placed on my die on my Big Shot machine, set it somewhere vaguely in the middle, and then cut it out. Okay, no great measuring. I just, made sure that they were bigger than these to start with. So here's my little piece. I'm just going to sit it on here to work out my size at the moment. Now, I definitely want it only just a little bit larger because I want to leave a border here, here, and here. My bottom section I want larger because I want to be able to put my photographers, the name, something like that, down the bottom. Does that make sense? And I want to do all this before I stamp it so that it's separate. So we've got one piece here, so you can see if that was sitting on there. Let's take it right up to the top so you can see where I've popped that pencil on. Let's just straighten this. As I said before, it is just a piece of scrap. So we better make sure it's actually straight to start with, hadn't we? Because it's not at the moment. Right, now it's straight. It always works well if things are straight to start with. I'm just going to sit that there so that I've got a similar border down one side as what I have with the other side, which is going to be about there. So this is where I'm taking this to. My bottom section, I usually want about that much below, which is round about, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch or about 1 centimetre below. So we're just going to chop that one off as well. Most of this I tend to just do by eye. I work it out from my, chop that down, from my little oval to start with. Now we'll just double check that this is all nice and straight because, as I said before, it was just a piece of scrap that I had sitting around. That's all straight, that's all straight. Right. So what I've got now is one of my backings. Okay, so that's that one. And then we can chop this one a little bit further past there. The reason I am chopping this first and then dealing with this later on is so that I can stamp on a really flat surface without the rest sitting there. It just makes it a little bit easier. And then if you muck up your stamp or something, you haven't ruined the whole cabinet card because it's still in pieces. So that will be this piece. That will be this piece. We're going to have another piece cut at exactly the same size as this, which will be our backing, which will make them nice and solid. Because if you ever pick up cabinet cards, they are really, really solid. Okay, they're a good thickness so that they're quite firm and all the rest. And that's what we want this to be like, so that it's not just looking like a handmade item. People have got to really look at it to see if it is, exactly the same as a cabinet card. So this one I'm going to cut the same size. That'll fit on that scrap there, which is nice. Round about there. If this one is a little bit too large, we can trim it down once those two are stuck together. But it gives me the general area for where I need to stamp. Making sure that's nice and straight. Go a little bit larger than I want, just so I've got some wiggle room to trim. So that should sit on there now perfectly together, it'll probably be a little bit too long, but the rest of that is fine, and I can trim this bit off later on. Do we make sense so far? So what we're going to have is that, and that, and that, and our photo in there. So before we start any of that, we want to put the name of our photographer down along here. Now I've got a collection of stamps. I've got an address one that's a Witchcraft Do You Do one, I think. But I just want that top section, okay? I only want the name because I want that to look like the photographer's. So what I'm going to do with that one is, when I find it, little piece of washi tape. I always have an old washi tape here that I know I won't use for anything else, and it is my masking one. Just torn a little piece off, and that is going to go directly under that name. Okay, just like that. So I can now ink this up and not have to worry about it going on anything else on that stamp apart from what it is that I actually want. And what I want right now is my foam pad. So just a little piece of craft foam, thick craft foam, sit under there so that the stamp presses in nicely, and I want that to go here on the end, down there like that. Okay, so we're going to ink that one up. Now if you're using a pigment ink in these metallic ones, you can see, if I get a, because I'm not putting my finger in it, if I get a toothpick, you'll see that they're a foam and they're really squishy. Okay, most pigment inks are squishy like that. The thing to watch out then with those sorts of ones is that they will ink up your stamp extremely well. So if you push too hard, then they're going to fill out every little bit of detail that's in your stamp. So you don't want to push down too hard. So if you look at your distress inks, you'll see that they're a fabric type pad. They're more of a linen look compared to an actual foam look. Can you see the difference? General rule of thumb, that's your difference between a dye ink and a pigment ink. And a dye ink dries quicker than a pigment ink. So you also need to remember that. Most of the metallics are in pigment inks. So I can now ink that up, and I can take that to my ink, to my stamp, and now I can peel that off, and all I've got inked up is the actual wording that I want. So I just want that to sit down here. Now if I bring that closer, you can still see, but I can actually see where I'm going. Okay. So I've got my photographer's name now down the bottom. And what I want to do, that's that one. He will go on that one. So this one, I'm going to turn over, and I'm going to pop my image that I want on the back of this. So I've got an old clear stamp here. I'm going to this time use my stamping platform just to show you a couple of different ways to do things. Sitting this one over here. Sitting that one there. Down. And this one goes that way. About there. So that it's up the top. Picking him up. All right, you can see I didn't clean that stamp properly last time because you can see the image there. But because I'm using my stamp platform, it's going to go on exactly the same spot. So once again, I'm taking that in there, making sure I've got none actually on my platform. I've got oodles on my platform actually. Right, pressing him down. Just give him a little push. When you're using the platform, it means you can lift it up each time and see where you need to re-push without pushing too hard to lose all that detail. Okay. There we go. So there's that one. Usually helps if I wipe the stamps afterwards. I don't usually do that. And we'll wipe the top of that. How's that? All right. So that's that. Actually, I'm going to leave that one just there because I'm going to pop something else in there. Now, I've got one that says Paris. Let's see if that fits in there so that it looks like that's where it's come from. Steps, place names. I didn't pull that one out, did I? Let's have a look. So technically, yes, that will fit in there. Look at that. Just to give it a little bit more oomph. Right, so we'll link that one up as well. Pop him over. Lovely. That actually looks really nice. I'm happy with that. All right, sit you back over there on that one. Whenever I do one of these projects and I film, at the end of it, you'd be surprised where I find stamps back on my desk. They're everywhere. Right, so that's the backing that we've got. There are extras. That's that one. That's going to go on there like so. All my stamping is done, so I can adhere those two together. Okay, remembering that that bottom piece is a little bit larger. So I'm going to pop all my sticky on that one, and then I'm going to stick him on there. But once again, what I'm going to do is use my double-sided tape. You can use glue if you like. Just going to run it right down. Sorry about that. Can you hear those dogs over the back fence? I've got the back door wide open. Sorry. Something set them off. Okay. So we'll just run quickly around these. A little bit of music maybe. I could sing, but I can't sing, so we won't. All right. Set that one over there. I'm going to take off my backing. And I know I've gone too far down the bottom, but that'll be trimmed off, and I've still got enough because I'm only trimming off, you know, like a mil or so. Very little down that bottom piece. But I do need to make sure I have it up the right way when I'm sticking them together. So grab a glue. Now I can fill in that entire area of where that's going. And then this one, so I've got my bottom down this side. That one's going to go there. And I'm just going to glue these together, matching them up. It is easier to make them a different size to start with and then match them up by trimming them, but you know, I find it's easier this way. It may be more hassle joining them together to get it exactly right, but I find that it's easier to work out exactly where I want my stamp so that my stamp is dead smack in the centre sideways. So now all I need to do is trim off this bit, and I'm just going to use my scissors for that. And I know black on black is hard, but what I've got now is a really solid backing. Okay, so that's that. We're going to pop this one on. What I want to do with this one, I'm going to set this one aside. Drop my glue. And I'm going to find a photo. So, got them somewhere. I've got two of them sitting out. I've got her for the large one here. Now, as I said, these were just from a book that I tore apart. But I can now sit here and give these two their own cards. Do you know what I mean? So with her, I'm going to sit that there so that we can see some of her gown as well. I can work out exactly where I want that to go. And I'm liking that, actually. So what I'm going to do with this, and it makes it so much easier, I need to even that bit up. is I'm going to pop a pencil mark along here, just in one corner and down there. So we can see this pencil mark sitting in here. So I can now glue all around here, and then I can adhere this down by one corner and stick it down and cut around it. Again, makes it easier. So what I want is my narrow double-sided tape, which I dropped a while ago. That's all my lights. There we go. When I was pulling out the other one a minute ago, I dropped. So this one, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use my narrow double-sided tape straight down that side, because I know my narrow one works on that bit. Along there. Down there, my narrow one's nearly finished. And that way I've got the best possible bond. And I'm going straight down those sides. But you might have your own photos that you want to turn into cabinet cards, especially old family photos, things like that, that it doesn't take that much to turn them into cabinet cards. As I said before, with this, I'm using a book, so I'm creating my own family. You might find them anywhere. So I was lucky to find a book that they were all in sepia, which was nice. And now I want to pop, I'm actually going to pop my white glue on this so that I can go round my oval. Timmer, I've been working on you all day, so I know you're there. All right, fill in that bit as well. Around my oval. You don't want to go so close to the edge of the oval that it will seep out, especially when you're using real photos. But you don't want to go too far in that it's not getting close enough to that edge. So there is a fine line. It's a fine line of glue. All right, there we go. Double check up there. Set that one there. Now I'm going back down here. I'm going to line this corner up with this section. I know it's a little bit glary, sorry. There it is. Push that down there. And I'm just going to let it drop. Now I can push it down nice and hard. And that'll adhere straight away because we've used our double-sided tape. Now I can just trim up the edges, okay? So straight up here. Again, you can use your scissors, knife, whatever helps, or whatever you're more comfortable with. Remember, if you're using a blade, just be careful with it. They are sharp. Well, they should be sharp. You're not doing much cutting if they're not sharp. So, you know, for them to work properly, they need to be nice and sharp. But when they're nice and sharp, you need to take care. So I've still got enough room to get him as another cabinet card. Across the top. Now, the other thing I like to do, especially with this colour, is ink, but not really ink, if that makes sense. So if I sit this here where you can see it, I'm just going to sit this on my glass mat. I'm picking up my foam blender brush that I always use for my brush corduroy, which is my mid-brown. I'm not re-inking. I've already got stuff on it. And I'm just going backwards and forwards every now and again on this. So you can see I'm not going around all of it. I'm just picking bits and just scraping it over. What it's doing there is, instead of inking all the way around the edges, it's just giving areas. So it's more like aged areas. You can put spots on this. You can do all sorts of things. It's up to you. But I just like to do that. Now this one will get stuck straight on there. See how it's now given it that aged look as well? And straight up, you've got yourself a cabinet card. So a little bit of double-sided tape, a little bit of glue, and that one is done. All right, trim those. And then we're going to do our large one. But I also want to do, so I'm just going to repeat it for our large one, but then I want to show you, if we've got time, how to just create our square ones. If you don't have stamps, or you don't have an oval, something to trace around or to create an oval. Look, there's lots of oval punches, but I find unless you've got a massive one, a massive one, they're still a little bit too small. For those of you that have been following me for a while, will know that I use my oval punches all the time. I want to take that off first. That I use my oval punches all the time for my finger holes in my pockets. But they're truly not large enough to do something like this. So you can get stencils where you can trace around for your ovals, all sorts of things. Again, make sure you're all up the right way. And this time we're going to sit it in so we've got an even border, top and sides, or as close to as you can. And then we've got that longer border on the bottom. And voila, we've got a handmade cabinet card, just like that. They're so easy. They are so easy. So, same thing. Let's have a look. And we'll do our larger one, which I've now sat somewhere here, right beside me. So, this is our larger one. Now, you can, of course, do your cabinet cards that way. But for the most part, when you find them out and about, they will be this way. So, I've got this lovely photo of her, okay, and she's going to sit. Now, when I looked at her, I thought she was a maid, but she's not. She's a nurse. So this will fit just beautifully in there. And that's the best thing about having these cut to size to start with, as in cutting them out and all the rest, because you can sit them on certain photos. Let's have a look at other photos. So, hang on. Pull out the rest of this book. See, you'd need to go that way for that, and it's not going to fit. But you could do two of them. This one if you wanted those ones. And it's just a matter of then looking, because this is already cut out. Look at these. And it's so easy to sit them there. Yes, we've got the big one there with her flowers, or we could just give her a smaller one like that. She would fit in either or, and that's why I like to have them pre-cut out. So what did I do with my nurse? I moved it, didn't I? Did I lose my nurse? Yeah, she's on the bottom. Wow. Wow. And this all came about because last night I'd been cleaning, sorting out an area in my room, and had started moving things around and came across a book that needed gutting because I didn't want the rest of the book, and it was just all these photos that I wanted it for. And the whole book was just these photos. And so I sat it over on my desk later on to start gutting and pulling them all out, and went, oh, they'd make lovely cabinet cards. Let's have a look and see how I go making those. And I know there must be lots and lots of videos out there. There has to be. I'm sure there is. I haven't looked them up. I didn't look to see how else anybody did them. I just sat here last night, pulled out a few that I'd already purchased and went, yep, I can do them. And when it was finished, my first one was finished, and I looked at it and I thought, I'm happy with that. I wonder if you guys will be too, and if you guys want to see a really quick way. If you'd been like me and hadn't seen any floating around before, As I said, I'm sure they're out there everywhere. But I thought you guys might like to see it as well. So we're going to do exactly the same thing, using our white glue around our oval. Down like this. Oh, come on, we just saw that working, didn't we? There it is. Right. All the way around. Now, the thing I think I liked about this paper to start with, this book, was they were slightly glossy. So they really gave the impression of real photos anyway. So, right. That's nicely done. I didn't take these ones off beforehand, so that's just... It's always easier to take those off prior so that your glue is not drying while you're taking those off. Now, we also didn't work out where we wanted her, so I'm just going to turn her sideways, holding it up, and it was round about there. So I'm going to line that up with the top of my page, pushing that down, and let it drop and just go down that way. Because otherwise, especially with the double-sided tape, if you just got glue, it's going to be fine and it'll even itself out. If you've got the double-sided tape, excuse me, and it goes down slightly crooked as you're going, it will buckle your photo. Just a word to the wise, because that's what I did with my large one. There's just a slight little buckle down here. Just a slight one, but it annoyed me. That's my voice disappearing. It annoyed me a bit when I did it, and it took me ages to try and get it rectified. So let it just drop down and try not to rush it too much. So straight through like this. Now, there's no reason why you can't do up a pile of these and have them sitting there ready to go as well. And we'll take that one off. Now we're going to do the same with this one as we did with the other one. And I'm going to get this one again. Still haven't re-inked it. And I'm just putting some darker patches in it, just every now and again, just to give it that aged look, so it's not quite so pristine. Okay, so just a little bit, so you can see. I'll pull that one out, so you can see the difference. Just a little bit there, without it being too much there and too obvious, but it just allows that to show up. Now, let's have a look. We need a larger piece. Let's see if I've got room on this one. Yes, I do. So we'll just double check that that's nice and square. Nothing's looking square so far. What do I have that's square? That bit's square, right. So all I'm doing is squaring that up so I can see where I'm going. Okay, that one's going to go down there. You can trim that bit off. Just like that. Something's not square there, is it? You got to remember, most of the time yeah, there you go. Most of the time these were done by professionals. I've got some here, like which ones were they? These ones. Light and Truth New. Oh God, one of these must have been this one. under royal patronage. Okay, so these were Tasmanian ones that were given to me by a friend, but they were very professional in their time. That one I've got nothing on the back. Okay, he still has his bits down the bottom, but I've got nothing on the back. So they don't always have to have something on the back, and that's a real gloss. They do have very tiny corners on them, rounds. None, and I've got quite a few different corner rounders, and not one will give me that just done look. So I would prefer to not have any at all. All right, so here's this one. That's going to go in there like that. This gives me a nice amount of area down here. Now, I've also got lots of these little ones that I like. So here's another one. What did I put on the other one? SJ Pedden. So this one might have this one, which will give us a different one again. And he's going to go, I've taken that off so I don't disturb it. And that's going to go down here, because I know that I've got, you know, this amount left to go. Can't find my stamping foam, so I'll grab another piece. And we're going to do that again, because it's the pigment ink. If you're using the old shop stamps, be very careful going in. Just very lightly take them to the ink pad, like so. And you can see when you've got it on there, you've only got one shot with these sorts of ones. Okay? So if they don't come out, they don't come out. Now, it's also something you could do on your computer and have them printed out. They would look lovely. Oh, very nice. They would look lovely printed in a white ink, something like that. If you put black in your printer, if you put a black paper in your printer, if you can't do black cardstock or cardstock, print it with white ink, pop it through. You could have all your designs going on the back, and you can very easily create your own. But if you're going to do it with paper, I would put, say, the paper onto an old manila folder and then some black cardstock or something, the black paper at the back, or an old cereal box, something like that. This one's going to go here like that. She's looking quite debonair. You know the word I want. I need another piece of that. Do I have enough there? Just. All right. I'm going to cut this one out to the same size. That will fit there like that. So it's around about there and around about there. We'll just trim that one. I don't know how we're going for time, because I had to stop this video before, because I had to go and rescue my husband's shoes from the dog. That'll go there like that. And where were we? Around here. Right. Fits nicely, fits nicely. So we can find something to go on here. Let's have a look. Now I've got a darker endorsed stamp here that I found. This, it's in French. I'm not quite certain what it says, but it does say photography, which could be one of these wonderful studios in the first place. So that would look quite nice in there. Yes, it would probably fit better on one of those ones, but we'll put it on this one anyway. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my stamp platform for this one, because I haven't cut this perfectly straight, this stamp, and I need to measure it all up with that. So what I'm going to do is line up, and I put a piece of black behind that so that you can see what I'm doing, so that we can see the lines, and I'm going to line up these lines with those lines. Does that make sense? So that I can see that that is now on there straight, and I can go off these lines for where my little piece of black is going to go. And we're just going to have a look. So I'm going that one and that one. That can come over, and I can even it up to about that. That's looking pretty good just there. So it's this line, and it's this line. That's my measuring. That works well. Just going to sit that one right at the top, and we're going to ink this one up as well. Remember to take your ink pad when you can to your stamp. Because we're doing it on the stamping platform, we can have a couple of shots at it. You'll notice with this one I haven't taken the foam out of there. Too lazy. Oh, that's very nice. Can you see that without the glare coming on it? I am happy with that. Very happy with that. Right. That's that. That's that. We'll sit that one over there, out of the way. We'll do that one. That was my piece of scrap. This one's going to go on the back of that one. Up here like that. Like that. Beautiful. So, once again, I'm getting a collection of stuff here again. Right, so the other way, I'm going to get this done. Just looking over there to see if I had my silver pen there, or whether it was sitting in the pencil case underneath the desk. It should be here. Right, that's that. Peeling those ones off. Making sure we're up the right way. That's the bottom. Just going to use this one again. Tearing this one onto it. So going from one corner again. Like so. And down. Give that a good push. There we've got our backing, nice and sturdy. And now all we're going to do is pop her on the front like that. How easy was that one? So, again, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to move that before I put silver ink everywhere, because I do have a habit of getting ink everywhere. All right. So this is two with stamps that are different sizes, just showing the same thing, but just to reiterate how easy this actually is. So what if we don't have stamps? We're going to hand draw or whatever else. So let's say, I'm just going to stick this bit on. No, I'm not. What am I going to do? I'm going to peel those off first, aren't I? Up the right way. Always check up the right way first of all. Right, like so. Tipping that one over. Little bit of a border, top and two sides. Same size border if you can. Pushing her down. There you go. So we've got, you know, all these wonderful, wonderful cabinet cards that really are just bigger versions of those cabinet cards. Or let's say we don't have these stamps. We don't have to have these stamps. Just because I'm a stampaholic doesn't mean that everybody is. So what we're going to do very quickly, I'm going to pull out one of those. I'm going to pull out a piece of manila folder, because what I want to do with this one is do it a little bit different. Is I want to find a piece of manila folder. That's what I get for cleaning up. I should never clean up. I keep saying it all the time, don't I? There you go. You're a bright, bright manila folder. You'll do. Like that. And I'm going to give this 2 pieces. We can still do black on the back. So we can do, you know, they're the originals. They can be any colour you like. We could do manila folder on the front. We could do black on the back. We could do manila folder both sides. So let's do manila folder both sides, because that way if I don't have my silver pen, it's fine. I've got a very fine black pen. Okay. So I want this one. I'm going to give a little bit of space here. Like so. I'm going to cut that right about there, because I can trim this further if need be. So we're just going to trim this down, make it even. Grab a big ruler, like so. That looks about straight. Trimming that off. I'm going to cut off this edge as well, just so I know I've got a completely straight edge. So just where that starts to dip down, now I know I've got a completely straight edge. Okay. This is my little bit here that I'm going to use. This one I've cut a little bit different. It's shorter here, longer here. So I'm going to use the longer side as the bottom side, as though it's meant to be. Yeah, I'm happy with that at the bottom there. So I'm going to go about there. Going to trim that one off. And then I'm going to cut another one exactly the same. Make sure that's nice and straight. It was good in theory. Don't know whether it's actually good in practice trying to do this. Oh, look at that. There we go. Like so. Remember, because we want that thickness. Now you could add another thickness into that again. We got another bit there. Let's do that. Let's make this really thick so that it's like a real cabinet card. So we'll glue this bit, glue the other layer to it, and then glue the top layer to that. How's that? And just for the sake of this one, we might just double-sided tape it without worrying about the glue stick. So that it gives it that real thick, heavy, solid, because the vanilla folder is not quite as thick, or nowhere near actually, as thick as that black cardstock we were using. So that one's on top of that one. Trim down that. Like so. So now I'm starting to get that nice thickness. We'll go again. So just because you don't have all the stamps, don't fret about it. There's lots of other things that you can use. As I said before, by all means, use your computer. Print out lovely bits and pieces and have them printed out onto your cardstock or your paper or whatever else, and adhere that to cardstock. And have it all framed up that way. Right, so there's that one. This one on the top. If they're all slightly out of whack, just give them a little bit of a trim. Which these ones most definitely are. That bit's fine, that bit's fine, that bit's not. I might just straighten that little section up there. There we go. Right, that's nice and solid now. This one's going to sit in here like so. Now I need my name and I need somebody for my cabinet card, and I'd like something behind. Right, so who do we choose to go into our cabinet card? Let's have a look at that bride, will we? Whoops. Sorry. Did I just make you all feel seasick? I just knocked the tripod over because I had these wrapped around the leg when I popped them back. So she worked. Let's have a look. We're going for a small one. I like her, but I think I want her in a larger one. She'll work. Let's go with our bride. Let's not sit that back around there. How's that? Our bride's going to sit in here. Mind you, with this around her, she doesn't look at all happy. She looks a lot more happy there. Poor girl. Okay. All right. We are almost done. We've just got to put the fine bits, and as we are doing it with a pen and freehand, we don't have to worry too much about this being on there. So what we're going to do that's her. Peel that one off. Remember, peel it off first. Peel it off first. Now, the reason I'm not using, the other reason I'm not using my glue stick on these is that I don't want it to hit here and come out the other side. So that's why I tend to use my white glue with the fine point to go around my ovals. It'd be a lot quicker, a lot easier to just go around with my glue stick, just rub over the whole thing again with my glue stick. But doing that does mean that what'll happen is you'll the glue stick will hit the edge here and want to go onto the other side. So just be mindful of that. Right, around there. Fill that little bit in. Now this one had a higher and a lower spot, didn't it? Again, I haven't worked out where she's meant to be, and it is easier to do that before you've put your adhesive on. That's going to go right to the top of that. Dropping that down, pressing it down as I go. It is easier to mark this when you haven't got adhesive on there and you're just matching your marks up. All right. There. And there. Trimming off that top lot. Down there. Right. So again, I want to give her some darker edges. And I'm just, every now and again, just going in with my foam. Kind of semicircular and around, just to tan it up. Now with this one, my manila folder is very starkly cream. So I'm going to do the same with this one. And I'm just rubbing over, just to take the starkness out of that. Just like so. I haven't got that much ink on my foam mat, but you can see the difference. Okay, it's just taken a little bit of it out. See how it now looks a little bit more aged? Okay, that's all we want to do with that. So we're going to stick her on. Back to that one again. So most of us have manila folders sitting in our stash. We all use them. I know I use them a lot. I've got so many, it's not funny. But so I have the black cardstock from card making days, scrapbooking days, all of those ones that are all still sitting here, and all of these small sheets, which are almost scraps. And I've just got them in bags of scraps in colours. So that's why I had them. If you don't have black cardstock, don't fret, do the manila folder ones. Right, that one's her. Like so. We're going to sit her in there. There we go. So there's that one. Now we want a nice fine black pen. I've got numerous ones here. Let's see if we can find a really fine one. Let's find a piece of paper. No, that's not fine. Wow, Kylie, that's not fine at all. I've got to find Sharpie. That's nice. Either of those would be fine. White, I don't want a white. Yes, I did have my silver pen there. There you go, look at that. All right, we might just use that because the others are all sitting up there. Either of those will be fine. So we want a name or something down here for our studios, or the place name of where they're from. So let's have a look at some of these others. We've got Hobart, Hobart Town, Launceston, Hobart Town. Hobart Town's a lot of wording. Let's just put Hobart. faux backed. It's been a long time since I've written in cursive. Back. What I want to do for the back is this. And we're just going to rule down here. Just watch your ruler with your black pen, and every now and again just get your cloth, which I've put somewhere there, and wipe down there. Otherwise you'll find that your ruler will leave smudge marks. I'll wipe that one again. And now I'm going to go in work out where that one is. It's about there, isn't it? Right, just like that. So just, you don't need all the fancy bits and pieces. That's not straight. I would measure it properly. Truly, really I would. And not just draw like I've just done, but I would measure it all nicely. You can write down whatever. As I said, this one's got nothing. This one's got lots, and I'm sorry, I'm not writing all of that. Yeah, copies can be had at any time. Copies of this photograph may be had at any time or enlarged to any size. Things like that can go on the back. Copies. Yes, I know I should be writing in cursive. But it's been a long time. And I would need to practice. Right, and what I'm going to do from that, you're straightish. Like that. See, so you don't necessarily have to have all those stamps. It helps if you have a lid. We'll find that one later too. There it is. You don't need to have all those stamps. You can make your own at any time. So we'll go back to our handmade ones. Move away these ones. How easy? How easy were they? Okay. I hope you've enjoyed those. I hope you got something from them. I hope you'll give them a go yourself and trying to create your own cabinet cards. Tizzy them up, do all sorts of things, but look at that. You know, there's a real one. There's not that much difference in them, surely. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks, guys. Till next time. Happy crafting.